easily the best level in the game to navigate. Each of the buildings has a completely different shape and feel, unique designs and visual cues. The outside area is built so it's easy to know where you are relative to everything. It's really cool. 5 minutes in, you find the signal jammer and turn it off and the game is bullshit again. Now you know exactly where to go and suddenly you're not really exploring anymore. This is the one section in the game where turning off the quest markers actually works really well, so at least it's a good time if you keep the markers turned off. It kinda sucks that almost every game that heavily relies on these markers inevitably has a tiny, really cool segment that turns them off, where the level design has to account for them being turned off, and everything gets so much better. Instead of being an interesting take on the central mechanics, it ends up being a brief foray into better mechanics you don't get anywhere else, and now the player knows exactly what they're missing the rest of the time. There's an oversight in the PC version that's kind of funny, but also prevents the markers from at least getting better with age. The game was designed to look good at 720p on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. When Nixes were creating the PC port, and God bless them, otherwise they did a fantastic job, someone made the UI not scale with resolution. This means at higher resolutions like 1080p, 1440p, and 4K if you're an idiot who owns a 4K screen, the UI gets increasingly harder to see and read. But for some godforsaken reason, the objective markers, and only the objective markers, do scale. So even though everything else is so small, people watching this video on their phone won't be able to read the in-game subtitles. Don't blame me, that's just how the game looks at 1440p. The quest markers are still blasting your head off and messing with the visuals of an otherwise still beautiful game. Incidentally, if you get the chip replacement, the glitchy health bar and ammo counter you get during the boss battle are scaled, so you can briefly see just how readable the game could have been. You know how older video game cities were always a lot smaller than a real city would be because of hardware limitations or what have you? It turns out that was a blessing in disguise. New York, Hong Kong, and Paris felt big, but not so big that getting around was annoying. Because you know what's not that fun? Trying to get around a big city on foot.
We have to keep on dancing if we're going to save Father.
Hey.
All right, dancing is so much fun.
What's up, dude? You lost or something?
The new, realistically big Detroit and Henshaw levels have tons of places that serve no actual gameplay purpose whatsoever, but the level has to be big because cities are big. The game does create a very nice sense of mood with this, though. The designers came up with hundreds of brands and logos to populate their future with. There's some genuine creativity on display here. But these levels aren't used in ways that benefit from this. You aren't milling around the cool environment, making small talk with locals, having unique encounters as you traverse the hustle and bustle of the city. It's window dressing as you follow a quest marker to the places the gameplay happens. JC Denton's walk speed wasn't super fast by the first-person shooter standards of the time, but the small and dense levels packed with stuff to do and secrets to find made the pace feel brisk. Adam feels significantly slower than JC, especially in the much larger cities. You can sprint for 2 seconds, that's not a joke, 2 seconds, and then it has to recharge.
This Dance Star show will look beautiful.
They made running shit on purpose so you had more stuff to put praxis points into. I mean, it's not a surprise he's going so slow if he's carrying so much stuff everywhere in his arms. Pathologic made you walk for hours deliberately as a form of punishment for the player. The game was trying to hurt you and make you question what you were doing with your time. Human Revolution is trying to be a fun cyberpunk action RPG, so I don't think they should be aiming for the same effect. The atmosphere and art design deserve some credit here, though. This is some of the most impressive, really boring walking back and forth between objectives I've done in my life, and I'm an expert on those. This is one of the best realized worlds in the history of video games. A decade later, the graphics hold up incredibly well because good visual design just doesn't age. But you're traversing it to do the same hacking minigame every 5 feet to unlock